Hi, my name is Tim, and we recently did a UniFi product event at our premises here in Cape Town. Unfortunately, we ran into some technical difficulties with the live stream, and because we got so many requests to get the live demonstration after the event, we decided to re-record the stream so everybody can get the benefit of it. So for this video, we'll be going over our product overview and our live demonstration from the product that we had at Scoop. So in the product hour, we are going to introduce some of the new innovations from UniFi's Gateway product line. We're going to show you a hardware comparison, some new, some old devices that are featured here. We're going to look at the feature set of UniFi and how it's evolved over time, and we'll complete the session with a live demonstration of what occurred at our product event. So let's jump in. So just looking at the hardware, so we've got a range of UniFi cloud gateways. Essentially, these devices are UniFi gateways with built-in network applications on top of them. Some of the devices, like the older devices like the UDM Pro and the UDM SE, they've been around for a while. They feature a whole bunch of different applications. So not only network, they also include UniFi Protect, UniFi Access, and some of the other applications that are available from UniFi. But one of the new devices is called the UDM Pro Max. Essentially, this is an upgraded version of the UDM Pro. It features 2 hard drive bays for additional storage for UniFi Protect, and it features all the necessary routing features that you've got with the normal UDMs. It's also able to route with IPS and IDS at a much higher rate. Then we've got the newer devices, the UCG Ultra and the UniFi Express. So the UCG Ultra, it's the UniFi Cloud Gateway Ultra. And this product is the most cost-effective way to get a complete UniFi network gateway. It features dual WAN, and it comes in at a very competitive price. So we expect some very good things from that particular product. And then the UniFi Express at the bottom over there. This is the kind of the easiest way to get the complete UniFi full stack. So it has a gateway built in. It features a single WAN, plus it's got a Wi-Fi 6 access point built in. Because it's got all of these things, we can consider this device as a full stack UniFi network. It's ideal for any small network where you want a complete solution all built into one. So just taking a deeper dive, looking at the UniFi Cloud Gateway Ultra. So this product can allow you to manage up to 30 UniFi devices, whether they be access points or switches or both, and up to 300 clients. It's got dual WAN capabilities. WAN port number 1, the primary WAN, that's rated at 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. And then any of the LAN ports in the back you can use as a secondary WAN. The remaining ports will be dedicated to LAN access at gigabit. You can do IPS and IDS at gigabit with these devices. Yes, it features a quad-core ARM CPU and 3 gigs of RAM. So there's plenty of hardware inside there to allow you to scalably do some decent routing and some firewalling. So we are expecting some really good feedback, and we're expecting this device to be the most popular UniFi gateway out of the whole range. Because up until now, you're only able to take advantage of kind of things like your multi-WAN load balancing and policy-based routing, usually with the larger gateways, which are quite a bit more expensive than the UCG Ultra. Because this is priced so well and it offers you everything, we think that they are going to be a real hit. So moving away from the devices that have got the network application built in, UniFi have got a bunch of dedicated gateways, which are standalone gateways. So these products are designed to work with an existing UniFi network application. So if you are running some sort of self-hosted system, or if you're using something like a cloud key, then any of these gateways would be beneficial to you. So the UXG Pro, that's not new, that's been around for a while. Yes, it features the SFP capabilities. It's got the gigabit Ethernet capabilities. You can see there that it can do the IPS and IDS at 3.5 gig. There's something called a UXG Max, which has been released by UniFi. It's just not available in South Africa yet, but we're hoping to get them soon. That'll be a full 2.5 gig Ethernet. You can do 1.5 gigs on the IPS and IDS. and the UXG Lite, which we've had for a short while. Relatively new product. This is kind of the most cost-effective way for you to do a sort of small-scale UniFi gateway if you've got a self-hosted system or if you've got a cloud key. So just looking at the UXG Lite, this one's only got single WAN, but this would be managed, like I said, with a cloud key or with a self-hosted system. This is ideal for any scenario where you've got a smaller network with an existing UniFi infrastructure that you want to onboard the UniFi gateway product. Just looking at the feature set of UniFi and how they've come and where they've been, where they've come. So they started out in 2016 with something called a USG, a UniFi Security Gateway. And this product, it was the only small form factor gateway that UniFi made at the time. And the feature set was quite a bit more limited to what it is today. So we can see from 2016 all the way to present, UniFi have been very busy adding a lot of new features to their gateway systems. And one of the great things about using a UniFi gateway is regardless of which hardware model you use, you get access to pretty much all of the features. The only exception would be the UniFi Express. The UniFi Express supports all the features with the exception of the IPS and IDS feature. So any of the gateways that you're using currently, you should have access to most of these features. And UniFi are always constantly finding ways to add all these great features to new products as they're released. So we started off with some very basic kind of gateway features, whereas today we can do things like high availability and more advanced things which are required in modern networks today. Looking at one of these features, a high availability solution called Shadow Mode. This is currently only applicable to the UDM Pro series of devices. And essentially, Shadow Mode is a way for you to have full redundancy on your gateway. So the idea here is that you'd connect two UDM Pros and they'll be linked together via a virtual IP address. And this offers you full redundancy with a very simple setup. So if gateway number 1 goes down, gateway number 2 will automatically take over and you will have zero downtime. So this is currently only available on the UDM Pros, but UniFi are looking at adding it to some of the other models which support dual WAN as well. So our demonstration today, we're going to look at some of the features, some of the most used features that are available in the UniFi gateways. We'll start off with VLANs and work our way all the way down to some firewall rules and traffic management. So I hope you guys enjoy the live demonstration. And at the end, you guys can just place your comments in the comment section and we can see if we can answer any of your questions from there. So let's get started. This is what our network topology currently looks like. So I've got a UDM Pro that's currently connected to a UCG Ultra. Those ports are connected to the two WAN ports of the UCG Ultra. This is so that we can simulate a dual WAN environment. And from there, we've got a connection to a Wi-Fi access point to service Wi-Fi clients. What you can't see in this topology is I've got my laptop cabled directly to the UCG Ultra via switch, and I've also got a Wi-Fi client connected to the UniFi access point so I can show you how the VLANs work. So let's look at our first demonstration on VLANs. So this is the UniFi dashboard. In order for me to create a VLAN, I can do this through the Network Interface tab, but since the gateways support a feature called VLAN Magic, it allows me to create VLANs extremely easily. So I'm going to go over here to the topology view. And from here, I can see what my network topology looks like. So we can see I've got my UCG Ultra demo device over here. I've got a little network switch with a bunch of Ethernet clients. You can see I've got my MacBook cabled directly in. I've got a U7 Pro with a Wi-Fi client connected. Now, if I want to create a VLAN from this point, I can use VLAN Magic by just clicking on this Create Virtual Network button over here. I can give my network a name. And from here, I just need to select the device that I want to belong to that specific VLAN. So I'm going to choose this Wi-Fi client over here, this phone, and I'm going to apply. And what this does is it automatically creates a network or a VLAN for that particular device. In this scenario, this is currently a Wi-Fi client. One of the benefits to using this method is that you don't need to create a separate SSID for that particular VLAN. The VLAN is allocated to the client automatically. Let's take a look to see what's happening in the back end. I'm going to go over here to the settings, to networks. You can see that my demo VLAN has been created. It automatically populates all of my IP addressing and other types of configuration. This can be changed by unselecting auto scale, and you can modify this to whatever your requirements are. Just for the simplicity of the demo, I'll leave this in auto. We're just going to go and take a look at the client connection over here. So we can see, looking at the clients, that I've got my phone, which is now part of the demo VLAN, and everything has just happened automatically. So it's not necessary to create that separate SSID like I've mentioned. In a scenario where you are doing this over Ethernet, if it was one of the Ethernet clients, you would then need to still go over to the port and basically tell the port which VLAN it belongs to. So with Wi-Fi clients, everything happens automatically. With Ethernet clients, you'll need to have some sort of intervention over there. Next, we're going to look at some of the routing side, some of the dual WAN features. So I'm going to go over here to my settings. We can see that I've got two WAN ports connected over here. So I've got WAN 1, which is the primary WAN at 2.2.2.2, and the secondary one at 3.3.3.2. Right now, we're using both WAN ports because we're routing traffic for this live stream over the secondary WAN. So when we demonstrate the primary WAN failing, we don't have any connection issues streaming out to YouTube. So essentially, I'm going to run a trace route just to show you the path of the traffic. So we can see that all the traffic is currently being routed via 2.2.2.1, which matches our primary gateway. So what we'll do is we will disconnect WAN port number 1, and then we will do a trace route to see whether it fails over to WAN port number 2. So let's disconnect that now. So the failover can take up to 30 seconds to occur. So we'll just wait on the gateway to realize that that has happened. Let's just refresh the page over here. So it looks like the primary connection is down. Let's restart a ping. Wait for it to come back up. Okay. Looks like the secondary WAN is running. Let's just do a trace route just to confirm. So we can see traffic is now being routed over 3.3.3.1. That matches up to our secondary WAN. Now, everything is now failing over to WAN number 2. When WAN number 1 gets reconnected, it will automatically move our traffic back to WAN number 1. So let's ping out again and let's reconnect WAN number 1. Take a look at the interface. Okay, it looks like WAN number 1 is back up and running, showing that it's active. Let's do another trace route and just confirm. As you can see, everything is running over our primary WAN once again, 2.2.2.1. So failover is switched on automatically when you're working with two WAN ports. There's also an option to do load balancing from this point as well. If I select this distributed option over here, I can set a ratio of traffic that I want to work on the different WAN ports. So I can decide which ratio I'd like. If I want like a 50-50 ratio, so 50% goes over one, and the other 50 goes over the other. or whatever ratio you like. So it's a very simple way to do very basic load balancing. If you want more fine-grained control over what's going on, you can do policy-based routing. And this gives you a few more options instead of just doing very basic load balancing. So I'm going to go over to the routing menu over here. And the first option here is policy-based routes. And as you can see, we've got an existing rule already set up. Essentially what we're doing here is any traffic originating from our network destined to youtube.com, we're routing that out of the secondary WAN port. We've done that to make sure that nothing happens to this live stream. But to show you a brand new entry, I'm going to create a brand new one over here. We've got some options. First of all, we need to give this a name, and we can decide whether we want it to be all traffic. We can specify the source network. This can either be a network or it can be specific devices. And we can then tell the gateway what interface we'd like that traffic to exit out of. Alternatively, we can be more specific. So if I set the specific menu up over here, I'm going to select a source. So I'm going to select for this one the default network. So this is all traffic originating from my laptop that I'm doing the demo from. And I've got some options. I can either specify domain, IP address, or region. For this demo, I'll specify the domain name. I'm going to use scoop.co.za, and I'm going to add this. And I'm going to ask the gateway to send that traffic out of the secondary WAN. So before I apply that, let's do another trace route. So we can see that everything is still going out of 2.2.2.1. Now let's enable our policy-based route. So after a few moments, we can try the trace route again. Looks like it's still going out of WAN number 1. But let's just clear the cache on the laptop. Just clear this out. And let's run that trace route again. So we can see that all the traffic that's going to scoop.co.za is now traveling out 3.3.3.1. It's because it's using the new policy-based route that I just created. So if you're wanting to do load balancing, you've got some more fine-grained control when using the policy-based routing feature. In addition to the other routing features we've got on the gateways, so we've got static routes, which is nothing new. They've been around on the gateways for a while. You might want to do static routing if you're connecting to multiple different gateway devices across the internet, but this is very small scale. If you want to do something at any type of scale, you don't want to be adding individual static routes. It's too difficult to manage. An alternative to that would be to use a dynamic routing protocol. And recently, UniFi has added OSPF to their routing protocols. OSPF stands for Open Shortest Path First. It's a dynamic routing protocol, and it's based on a link state algorithm. Essentially, what OSPF does is it will build up a list of routes amongst all of your gateways, and it'll choose the fastest path. Now, there are some limitations with using OSPF on UniFi gateways. You can only have a single OSPF instance currently, which will allow you to communicate with other types of gateways. OSPF is also used for their site-to-site VPN features that are built in called Site Magic, which I'll demonstrate for you guys in a moment. But in a scenario where you're wanting to connect other gateways to this device over a site-to-site VPN, and you want different network segments or VLANs inside those networks to be able to communicate, OSPF could be a valuable feature to do this. A real simple way of using OSPF from a UniFi perspective would be to use their Site Magic VPN. And how that works is if you've got multiple UniFi gateways, you're able to create a simple site-to-site with pretty much a click of the button. And how we would achieve this is we'll need to go to UniFi's Site Manager. And Site Manager you can find at unifi.ui.com. This is all linked to your Ubiquiti single sign-on account, and we can see all the different UniFi gateways and UniFi instances I've got running linked to my current account. If I want to establish a site-to-site VPN connection with another device that's linked to my account, I've got an option over here called Site Magic on the left. If I select Site Magic, I give this I can give the Site Magic a name, and it's already detected the different devices that are capable of using this feature. Now, if you want to use Site Magic, you have to use a cloud gateway. You cannot use a standalone gateway like a UXG Lite or a UXG Pro. It needs to be one that's got the network application on board. So in this particular demonstration, we can see that I've got a UDM Pro and the UCG Ultra, which I'm currently demoing for you guys right now. The other requirement is that at least one of your devices has to have a public IP address. So we can see that I've assigned a non-standard IP address to the WAN port of this device, and essentially tricking it to thinking that there's a public IP address available. This feature is also limited to up to 15 sites only. So UniFi is planning on scaling this out for more sites, but currently we're limited to 15. So in order for me to link these two gateways together, I essentially just need to select them, give my Site Magic group a name, and I can just click Add. From here, I have to tell the gateways which networks I'd like to communicate with each other. So in this case, I've got a network over here, which is the default network of the UDM Pro, and I can select my various networks that are connected to my UCG demo, which I've got running. Once I've selected which networks I want to communicate with each other, it's as simple as just clicking Connect, and after a few moments, these devices will establish a secure VPN tunnel between them, and I'll be able to communicate between any of these networks that I've selected. This is all happening with the WireGuard protocol and OSPF, and UniFi have just made this a really simple way for you to do this type of configuration if you've got a cloud gateway at each side of your links. If you're using, or if you want to use site-to-site VPNs with WireGuard using some of the other gateways like the UXG Lite, you'll need to create an OSPF instance. So this feature is only for those cloud gateways. So after a few moments, the connection establishes, and these networks will be able to communicate with each other directly. In a scenario where you want to set up other types of VPNs, there's a whole VPN section available over here, and there's a number of different options. So if you want to connect a VPN client to a UniFi gateway, one of the easiest ways that you can do this is with using UniFi's teleport feature. Teleport is a WireGuard-based VPN, but it's exclusively only available using Ubiquiti's Wi-Fi Man app. So in order for you to use this, you'll need to have the Wi-Fi Man app available, and you'll be able to instantly create a VPN tunnel into your gateway with a click of a button. So just to demonstrate how this feature works, I'm going to connect up my phone. So I've got Wi-Fi Man installed. If I just open up Wi-Fi Man, so Wi-Fi Man is kind of a multi-purpose app. It's good for doing things like speed tests and signal testing and things with the UniFi Wi-Fi devices. But at the bottom right, you see I've got a function called Teleport. If I select Teleport, I'm able to connect two devices that are linked to my single sign-on account. So in this case, I've got bunch of different devices. I'm going to select the UCG Ultra demo, which I'm busy showing you guys now. And all I need to do from this point is just turn this on. And by selecting the gateway and switching it on, it'll create a secure tunnel after a few seconds. Yeah, this is again only for devices that support the cloud gateway function. So again, if you're using a UCG Ultra or if you're using a UDM Pro, this teleport feature becomes available. If you're using one of the other gateways, I would recommend using WireGuard. So we can see that it's established a connection via VPN in a few moments. One of the advantages to using the teleport feature is that if your UniFi gateway is behind a NAT, you'll still be able to establish a connection, which is quite useful. In a typical scenario with VPNs, you would need to have a public-facing IP address on the WAN port. But when using teleport, if it's behind a NAT, it will still work fine. So that was showing you how to use Teleport with a mobile client. In a scenario where you want to invite users to use Teleport, there's an option for you to generate a link. So under the Teleport menu over here, I can generate a brand new link. And this link can be used to invite specific users, and it's valid for 24 hours. When you send users this link, they'll need to use either the Teleport app on their mobile, or they'll need to have the Wi-Fi Man app installed on their computer, and they'll be able to use the Teleport service. In a scenario where you don't have access to Teleport, you can set up a regular VPN server if you like. One of the most popular choices for VPNs these days is WireGuard, which the UniFi gateways do support. And the setup is relatively straightforward. So everything is really pre-configured over here, just out of the box. If you want to add a VPN client, it's just a matter of adding a client configuration. If I press this add button, it brings up a QR code, or I can download the configuration file. Now, when you're using WireGuard, you need to use the WireGuard app. And the process here is very simple. Once you've downloaded the WireGuard app, you can simply just scan this QR code of the app, and that'll give the configuration to the client. You'll be able to link straight on. Alternatively, you can download the configuration file, and you can import that to your WireGuard client, and that will give you VPN connectivity. So beyond the server, there's also VPN client capabilities as well, using OpenVPN or WireGuard. So if you want your UniFi gateway to run as a VPN client, maybe using a third-party VPN service, you can import those configuration files directly and use your UniFi gateway as a VPN client. And then lastly, they've got the basic site-to-site. So if you're using IPsec or OpenVPN for site-to-sites, you've got the capabilities of doing that as well. Next up, we're going to move over to some of the security features on the UniFi setup. So I'm going to go over to the Security tab. And over here, we've got a number of different options. So by default with the UniFi gateways, they've got traffic identification switched on. This is previously known as deep packet inspection. And essentially what traffic identification does is it looks at all the different types of traffic that are available on the client devices on your network. UniFi has got an application-aware firewall, so it can use that information to create firewall rules and restrict traffic in certain ways. So I'm going to go over some of the options that are available in the security setup. I'm going to start over here with the ad blocking feature. So I can switch the ad blocking on, and it asks me which networks I would like to apply this to. I'll just select both for the demonstration. And this allows me to do ad blocking directly from the gateway without using any third-party extensions or anything on your browser. The efficacy of ad blocking, it differs depending on what sort of ad block software you're using. UniFi's ad blocking does work, but I wouldn't say that it blocks every single ad that's out there. But yeah, it's nice to have ad blocking directly on the gateway without requiring some other type of hardware or some other type of software. There's an option here called DNS Shield. This allows you to encrypt your DNS requests using HTTPS, just for a kind of safer browsing experience. So there's two options here. I can set the option to auto, and this will by default use Cloudflare or Google. Alternatively, I can set this manually, and I've got a whole host of different HTTPS services that I can use for DNS on the gateways themselves. So you can encrypt your DNS traffic using the UniFi gateways right now. I'll leave that feature off for now. And then we've got an internal honeypot feature. Internal honeypot essentially will look at traffic internally on your network. So if you've got a host device somewhere inside your network that's got, it's doing something malicious, maybe it's got a virus, and there's some malicious activity that it is kind of prone to, the honeypot IP address that's created on the UniFi system will be able to identify those particular clients. So if you've got a situation where you've got some sort of malicious device internally on your network, by enabling the honeypot on that particular network will assist you in finding out whether there is any malicious traffic internally on your network. So everything here that we're seeing on the general tab, it essentially is targeting stuff internally in your network. It's analyzing your LANs on your network. Next, I'm going to jump over to the Internet Safety tab over here. So I've got two options. The first one is country restrictions. So I can restrict or allow different types of traffic going to different countries. So I can select whether I want to allow a block and what directions I'd like that to occur from. And then from there, I can just select a country. So for this demonstration, I'm going to select Zimbabwe. I'm going to save this. And what we'll do is we'll ping out to a site in Zim and see whether we get a reply. So I'm going to ping out to zim.gov.zw, and we can see that there's no reply. So let's turn the feature off. And do that again. You can see with the feature off, it's replying. So you can do blocking of certain regions where you see fit, which is a useful feature. Then we've got a suspicious activity detection. So this is the IPS and IDS feature, intrusion prevention and intrusion detection system. So there's two options here. You can either set this to auto, and it'll automatically set your profile up to notify of any problems, and the sensitivity set to medium. There's a dark web blocker, and it'll block known malicious IP addresses. Alternatively, you can set this to advanced, and you can specify what actions you want. So you can specify the sensitivity is high to block and notify. You can also customize this to look at various types of internet traffic. So for our demonstration, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to notify and block, and I'll set the sensitivity to high. I'm going to apply this. So to demonstrate whether or not this feature actually works, I've got a script which allows me to test some of these features out. So this script will run a bunch of tests so I can see whether or not my intrusion detection or intrusion prevention system is actually working. So I'm going to set option number 11 over here, chaos, run all, and let's see what the gateway is able to pick up from that test. It takes a few minutes for anything to appear in the log, so we'll come back to this a little bit later and see exactly what the UniFi gateway has picked up. Moving over to the firewall side of things, I'm going to go over here to traffic and firewall rules. So the UniFi gateways, they've, like I've mentioned, have a application-aware firewall, which is quite good. The firewall built into the UniFi gateways is a stateful firewall, so it relies on connection tracking to be able to make decisions of how to filter traffic. And connection tracking is essentially something that's happening in the back end that's monitoring all the states of your different connections traveling in and out of the router. When you're configuring firewall rules, there's two ways in which you can do it. You can either use simple mode or advanced mode. So let's create a brand new entry. I'm going to set this mode to simple for now, just to demonstrate a simple rule. And yeah, there's quite a few options available in the UniFi firewall these days. So I'm going to call this demo. I'm going to set my action to block. From here, I can specify a source. What source network or device am I wanting to filter? So in this case, I'm working from my laptop, so I'm going to just select the default network. And then from here, I've got various different destination options. So I can specify apps, app groups, IP addresses, domain names. I've got a whole bunch of different options over here. To demonstrate how this works, I'm going to set the first rule to domain, and I'm going to block Facebook.com. So I'm going to add Facebook.com to this rule, I can set up a schedule if I want. If I only want it to be valid for certain times and certain time periods. Let's add this rule and see what happens. So I'm blocking anything destined to facebook.com. So let's ping out. And we can see that traffic headed towards facebook.com is currently being blocked. It's not restricted just to those types of entries. We can give you another demonstration here. Let's do something with TikTok. I could specify, a particular device like something like a phone if I wanted to. I can do either apps or app groups. So if I wanted to do individual apps, I can do so. Alternatively, I could use app groups as well. So if I wanted to block all social networks, I could do so. Let's just do a basic app of something like TikTok. I can select the various apps that I want to block. It also obviously lists a number of different ones in a single rule. So I don't have to have a whole range of different rules to be able to do this, and simply add it. So whether you are if you're a simple user of a firewall, this makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's very straightforward to create very basic rules. But if you're an advanced user, there's also the advanced section. And by default, UniFi gives you a whole base set of firewall rules. So you've got a lot of firewall rules that are already built into the system. And depending on what sort of features you are configuring when you're doing your original network setup, firewall rules might automatically be created over here. But there's a lot of customization that can happen over here as well. So if you're a more advanced user, you've got a lot of options available to you on the different chains on the firewall, and a lot of different functionality and options based on ports, source addresses, source ports, destination ports. Anything you could ever want in a firewall is available on these UniFi setups now. So whether you're a basic user or an advanced user, there is a solution in terms of a firewall for you right here. So once we've got a complete security setup, I guess the next step would be to see what's happening. How do we visualize that information? How do we know that it's working? So one of the ways that we can do this is we can look at the insights section. So we've got traffic identification switched on, and we can see all the different types of traffic that have been traversing this network. And you can see if I hover over these different apps, I'm able to block them directly from this field of view. So if I notice that there was something happening, or there was lots of traffic to one of these particular services that was unwanted, I could block it directly from this view. So I'm making an educated decision on why or what I'm blocking. The next step over here is I've got the viewer section. So this will give me the entire network configuration that I've currently got. So we can see everything that I've configured up until now, and the availability of all these things over here. And I can configure everything from just one menu, which is quite useful. And then on the inspection side of things, I can see everything that is being blocked, whether it be stuff that's happening on the IPS, IDS, or whether the firewall rules are blocking. It'll all be on the inspection side. And I can also see from a regional perspective what's happening. So over here, I can look at all the different types of traffic, or where my traffic is traveling to from where I am. So in a previous example, I blocked Zimbabwe. Here you can do the same thing. So you could specify countries from this map, and you can block them out directly from this field of view. And of course, there's a system log as well, which will show the different security detections. So some of those IPS and IDS features are coming into play over here. We can see that test that I ran earlier. There's a number of entries that are starting to populate. I can select these entries, and I can decide based on the threat level what I want to do, whether I want to allow them or block these things out altogether. So the UniFi security setup and firewall has come a long way, and I believe that it is very good and very useful. It offers a lot of useful features Again, whether you're a very experienced user or if you're just trying to do the basics, I think it's a great solution. So that's it for the demonstration side of things. I hope that you guys find the demonstration useful, and I hope that you actually were able to learn something. But if you're looking to have a deeper dive into all the functionality based on UniFi, there's going to be a new training course which we'll be offering soon. This is the UniFi Routing and Cybersecurity Admin course, and it's a 3-day training course that's going to cover essentially everything that I've showed you here, but in a lot more detail. There's also going to be a lot of other topics that we'll discuss in more detail, things like VLANs, IP addressing, IPv6, OSPF. So if you're looking to go on a course that has a deep dive on all these features and just networks in general, then the UniFi Routing and Cybersecurity Admin course could be highly beneficial to you. We're still finalizing the course dates. We're hoping to have the course available shortly. And yes, that'll be a 3-day training event. So look out for that one, and we look forward to delivering that for you. That's it for the demo. Thank you very much for joining. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section. Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you at the next Scoop Product Hour. Thank you very much.